Those of you Catholics among us will recognise the Litany of Mary at the end of the Rosary. You say all these prayers to Our Lady. Inheritance. In memory of the Poor Clare Orphanage Fire, 23rd of February 1943, Cavan. It would be easy to saccharine their deaths with morning dew. God knows it could happen to a bishop or a poet. But I won't sing of winged angels and burnished gold. I won't tell it slant. Come, let the blazing truth blind. Hard of hearing, Dolly Duffy slept through Miss O'Reilly's order to rise and go into St. Clair's. Townsmen with axes battering down the front door, Mary Caffrey's clanging keys, John McNally's, "Get the children out, get everyone out, for God's sake, get them out." The Cassidy sisters, Mona, where are you?" "Over here, Josie, over here." Sister Felix's, "Try to put the fire out like a good lad." And the unidentified voice to the male intruders, "Go back down, do you hear me? Go back down." But Una Smith scrambled back up in the heat and the dark to the Sacred Heart, fingered a rosary of bed knobs till she found her. Rushing the act of contrition, Dolly placed her apron on her head like a mantilla and braved the choking smoke down the wooden stairs. The last child to exit this way, her soul's smouldering when she stumbled out onto Main Street. Maggie Smith came home. Her best years spent as a live-in skivvy for a doctor or a judge. Sure, where else would she go? The Magdalen Laundry, the county home? Hadn't St. Joseph's been home since it opened its doors over 70 years before? Yes, Maggie Smith came home. To the early morning prayers in the coffin-cold chapel and the late-night crying of babies in their cots. Not quite on equal footing with the nuns, but a rung above their charges. Shawled and shuffling up the town for bits and bobs, a bar of sunlight soap, a jar of Bovril. Maggie Smith came home to die. Ashen-faced, the aged woman hobbled into St. Clair's. As an older girl led the younger ones in a decade of the Rosary, Maggie lay down on an empty bed, a pyre of striped ticking, and waited. The lights went dead. Screams now pierced the choking blackness. "Get us out, we're smothering!" Sisters called to one another. Others crawled on their bellies to the high windows. Sooty faces pressed against window panes. A girl on her knees coughed out prayers. And the polished floor buckled, wardrobes and cots demolished by famished flames. Timbers crashed, glass smashed 40 feet to the street below. 5 little forms huddled against the dormitory door. Myth be damned at the sight of the clothes burning on the back of 4-year-old Lizzie Heafy from Swords. What can be said? The Keystone Brigade bungled attempts at rescue. Hoses leaked, ladders couldn't reach, and the sort of but not really captain said it took 45 minutes to assemble a crew. 5 minutes more than it took the fire to swallow 35 children and 1 old woman. Tell me, how does that add up? But that pre-Lenten night, Cavan, like any Irish town, had its blessings too. Men beckoned children on hot windowsills to jump into their outstretched arms. Veronica took a leap of faith. Maureen slipped through one man's embrace, breaking her legs. Another fell on a lean-to shed. An ESB ladder was procured and hoisted. A GAA man and a doctor risked life and limb to reach the smoke-billowing windows before the heavens came crashing down. 36 bodies, 8 coffins, Cully's graveyard, no memorial. Children of the poor Clares, pray for us. The 13 Marys, have mercy on us. Mary Barrett, Mary Brady, Mary Carroll, Mary Galligan, Mary Harrison, Mary Hughes, Mary Ivers, Mary Kelly, Mary Lowry, Mary Lynch, Mary Roach, Mary O'Hara, Mary McKiernan. Children of the Church, children most pure, children most vulnerable. Kathleen Chambers, Kathleen Kiley, Kathleen Riley. Josephine Carroll, Josephine Cassidy, Mona Cassidy. Ellen Morgan, Ellen Payne, Harriet Payne. Nora Barrett, Margaret Chambers, Dorothy Daly. Frances Kiley, Bridget Galligan, Susan McKiernan. Elizabeth Heafy, Ellen McHugh, Philomena Regan. Bernadette Serridge, Margaret Lynch, Teresa White, Rose Wright. Pray for us, O children of God. Pray that our indifference will not be our inheritance. I'm reading that now because it's a long enough poem and that, but anyway, the next one is a short one, a sonnet, a 40-line sonnet, and it's called For the Love of God, and it's an homage to a house mother in the orphanage where I grew up, Miss Carberry, Miss Winifred Carberry, although we didn't call them house mothers back then, they were just staff members, we call them. And like Maggie Smith in the previous poem, she grew up in the institution and she went on then to take charge of the children. She had a disability and there was something wrong with her back. She kind of hunched over a bit and she had a severe limp. And she had this bunch of keys, and with this pronounced limp, you'd always hear these keys jangling every time she put the foot down on the ground, so you'd hear them in the corridors all the time. This poem is about preparing the children for their first Holy Communion, with the season that's in it. It's First Holy Communion time. And she used to wash her hair and then tie these nylon tights. I don't know if you do it over here or not, to make ringlets, curls in your hair, She tied these nylon tights tightly around, and you had to sleep in them overnight, and they were as hard as the hob of hell. It was so hard to sleep in them, but in the morning when she unravelled the tights, you had this beautiful head of curls like Shirley Temple. It was just gorgeous, So anyway, this is Miss Carberry. For the love of God. Stand still, she shouts, twisting the nylons tighter around my freshly washed hair. Her roan mane sits in a modest bun, inches from her crooked spine. And mare with no folds of her own, but mother to scores of abandoned, abused, standard issue industrial school. Because of her, girls in golden and charcoal ringlets, dresses blanched, will glide down the aisle in their communion plumage. Mute swans will bugle to one another lakeside, nightmares and bedwetting having migrated south for a day. Years from now, in the nuns' graveyard, glutted with rows of white crosses, I'll stand still among the purple and gold blooms of April. She was the only layperson to be buried in the nuns' graveyard. And my final poem, just to prove that I don't always write about Irish Catholic misery, this is a happy poem. There are a few happy poems, mind you, only a few in the book, but this is one of them. It happens to be the last one in the book, and it's entitled Campground the Adirondacks, and it's self-explanatory. It's about camping up in the Adirondacks. My husband has an RV motorhome that he likes nothing better than to bring the whole family every August somewhere around the country. I prefer to be staying in a hotel, mind you, but anyway, last year we went to Cape Cod and up the Adirondacks. We actually had a grand time. This is about a lake, alpine lake where we stayed. But anyone familiar with Philip Larkin, the English poet, this poem is a nod to his poem, Show Saturday. Campground the Adirondacks, for Aidan. That's my 11-year-old son. Crouched over bicycles like jockeys at Churchill Downs, helmeted boys traverse the wooden bridge in 2s and 3s. Pasty-legged fathers in baseball caps on the annual pilgrimage secure feather fishing lures on rods before casting their lot with gung-ho sons in neon t-shirts. Around the lake, amid the pines and the oaks, pop-ups on pickup trucks and sleek RVs bide their time. Further back, log cabins and cottages with hanging baskets and Americana whirly jigs. Low, slung sun. Paddle boats slosh on the black onyx lake. Kayakers windmill their way from here to there. Mothers in inflatables catch up on books on nooks or bask themselves like turtles on rocks. At the water's edge, a boy skims stones, his black lab running to and fro. and here an old-timer in a lawn chair, as still as Abe in DC, staring at nothing in particular. There, a man in a sleeveless muscle shirt flips burgers on a grill. A family plays cards around a gingham picnic table. Hackles relaxed, a wife laughs at a joke her husband makes. Suspended in air, a disco ball of midges. Higher again, a hawk freewheels. By the front gate, a formidable woman, the spit of Madeleine Albright, in shorts and argyle knee-highs, directs traffic with a paddleboard. Your kid got a helmet? Can't ride no bike around here without a helmet. Her first act as Secretary of the Lake. Over by the horseshoe pits, boys pull vintage cap guns from imaginary holsters. Bang, bang, you're dead. Close your eyes. Listen to the barking dog, the tinging of a distant hammer. Smell the wood smoke. After the fishing, the hiking and the swimming, after the trolley buses to and from Saratoga, there'll be blazing fires and tiki torches, hot dogs and hamburgers, and if you're really good, a Sunday at the pavilion. Campers will gather around fire rings, lean in to roast marshmallows on twigs, filling the silences with remember whens. The lucky few will launch sky lanterns into the night. But after the catch comes the release. Rigs with names like Conquest, Greyhawk and Safari will lumber back to the leaf blowers and the lawn worship, the strip malls and the bumper to bumper, back to the clabbered houses with barn stars and post-mounted mailboxes with little red flags. Still, after the sprinters are blown out, the bags of leaves at the curb and the final trick-or-treater home, let there always be the floating sky candles carrying prayers to the summer supermoon. Yeah.